Hey, friends. So, I had a creative session today with my brother, and it was a good one. It was a really good one. We are talking about a project, and not going to share any details, but what it, what I find over and over again is that particular process always seems to there always seems to be something juicy, something inspiring in the conversation. And sometimes the conversation, even when it kind of eddies and doesn't necessarily like plow ahead or result in an epiphany, there's always something being unearthed. There's always something interesting. And it just makes it one of the most joyful parts of my week. It's just one of the most fun sessions on my calendar. And I was thinking today a little bit about why is that? What is it about this particular process that's working so well, or that at least is producing the sense that we have that the creative process is able to flow here. And one thing that showed up, this is certainly not the only relevant element, but one thing that showed up is, working with your brother, working with someone you know really well, and with someone whom you respect, and kind of how they think, and you just sort of have have some background together. You got some history. You've got some shared understanding of each other. It allows for a certain kind of the first phrase that came to mind, which is not quite right, but it's like creative discipline. And what I mean by that is there's a way in which, as you're working, as you're sharing, there's something I've gotten very used to in creative circles, in the processes, the various processes I've been in, and it's a pretty delicate art, but it's basically, how can you fully share an idea? How can you have total investment, total creative connection to an idea, and at the same time really not be attached to it? At the same time really not need to fight for it, or need it to be right, or need it to be accepted by the other person. And the best way I can explain that, I don't know that there's any trick to that, other than once you've been in the creative process long enough and you've done it enough, you just kind of are used to the idea that just because an idea feels really powerful to you doesn't mean that it's necessarily right, or even that it's necessarily a good idea, that it'll stand up. Now, that doesn't mean that we want to just relentlessly doubt everything we're saying. It's not that. It's just that we're offering something in the spirit of a process, and the ability to be truly invested and to think that this is a great idea is important. We have to be able to feel like my idea is a great idea. This is worth sharing. I want to defend it. I'm going to present it with energy behind it. We have to have that. And at the same time, if we don't have the corresponding ability to sort of very almost immediately turn around and be like, and I let go of that. I'd have no need for it to be right, no need to prove that it's good. If you can do that, then you can have a really effective, a really inspiring, and a pretty functional process, relatively efficient process, because a lot is allowed in, and a lot, and it, but anything that's not right can go very quickly. There's no need to sort of explain why this, what I was thinking. This is why I was, there's a kind of defensiveness of ideas that anybody who's spent time in the creative process, or around, especially a collaborative process, you see it immediately. You instantly can tell when an idea is being defended for the sake of defending the idea, rather than for the sake of the whole, the piece being better, or the process being deeper. And man, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. I think it's something that really kind of takes, the way I see it, it takes the humility of having done it so often, of having been there so often, that you just know that if an idea is not landing, there's a reason. It may be that the idea's time has not come yet. That's sometimes the reason. The idea's time will come, and then that same idea in that same place, in the same project, will be right. But for whatever reason right now, among these collaborators at this point, it's not yet zinging. It's not doing the thing yet where it's like, oh yes, that's it. And so, but you can't, no one can manipulate the process to make sure that when they present the idea, that it's the right one for that moment. We're all just offering what we have right now, and trying to get our feet under us, and trying to build a foundation, then a structure that'll stand. So it's kind of like that. The only, like I said, the only trick that I know for how to do that thing of being fully invested but also fully unattached at the same time is experience. It's experience. Just keep doing it. Know on some level, keep an awareness, that there may be any number of reasons why something is not working, and it's not a judgment of the idea. It's not a reflection on what you're bringing to the process. It's just that the idea might not be right for now. Because when people are willing to do that, man, it's like you can be hot on the trail together, and you're in sync. You can be wandering in the woods lost, and you'll still be in sync with your collaborators. And that, that process, that just takes trust. That requires a certain amount of trust. You gotta know that, like, that's how it's gonna be sometimes. That's okay. And you're gonna be lost together at various points, and kind of enjoy that. It's not fun if your goal is to figure out the freaking thing that you're working on and try and solve the problem. There's going to be the continued frustration of not having solved the problem. But there's also something so beautiful about a problem that's hard to solve. There's something so energizing and kind of awe-inspiring about something that clearly has potential, and that has meaning and beauty, and it's not easy to solve. That's just a cool place to be. And I've just been really grateful to be there over these. We've been doing this now for several months, and it continues. It continues and continues, and it's just one of the highlights of my week. And it prompted me to reflect on it a little bit. Prompted me to think, what are we doing? What's the gift that this keeps giving? And it spoke to me in some ways. So that's what I got today, folks. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I will see you soon.